This is America in the Morning from Westwood One. Good morning, I'm John Trout. It's Friday, December 12th, 2025. Here's what's coming up on America in the Morning.
The Senate has essentially guaranteed millions of Americans will face sharply higher health care costs next year. Sagar Meghani, Washington.
A judge's threat.
Termination of broadcast of these proceedings.
At a hearing for Charlie Kirk's accused killer. I'm Joan Jones.
Indiana Republicans have blocked President Trump's redistricting push in a rare break with the White House.
Bill has been defeated.
I'm Haya Panjwani.
No indictment for Letitia James. I'm Clayton Neville.
How would you like to make Mickey Mouse the star of your own self-produced video? Well, now you can, and without committing a copyright violation. I'm Peter Schacknow.
A federal judge has ordered Immigration and Customs Enforcement to release Kilmar Albrego Garcia from detention. I'm Jennifer King.
All ahead on America in the Morning. The U.S. Senate rejected dueling Democrat and Republican-backed health care bills Thursday, all but guaranteeing that Obamacare subsidies used by more than 20 million Americans and their families will lapse at the end of the year, with some people seeing their health care premiums double and triple in cost. Washington correspondent Sagar Meghani reports.
The Senate has essentially guaranteed millions of Americans will face sharply higher health care costs next year.
If the Republicans do not vote for that protection to be continued tomorrow, then 22 million Americans and their families are going to see a dramatic rise in their health care bills.
In 2021, the Democrats, as part of their $1 trillion spending blowout, increased subsidies under Obamacare. That has not helped the price of health care go down in America. It's caused the price of health care to go up.
Senators rejected a Democratic bill to extend Affordable Care Act subsidies, which expire in weeks. Minority Leader Chuck Schumer had urged colleagues to extend them.
A yes vote means lower costs for the American people and greater help for them to pay for the things they need. A yes vote means dignity, security, and peace of mind for tens of millions of American families. It means our healthcare system averts a disaster.
But number 2 Senate Republican John Barrasso argued it would instead prolong a disaster.
Obamacare robbed the American people of choice as well as affordability. So the Democrats are back here today saying they want to send an additional $83 billion directly from the Treasury of the United States to the pockets of the health insurance companies of America.
But the Senate also rejected a GOP proposal to create new health savings accounts. After that,
January 1st is coming. Republicans are responsible for what happens next. This is their crisis now, and they're going to have to answer for it.
While at the White House,
The president is working with his healthcare policy team here at the White House, as well as Republicans on Capitol Hill, to find a solution.
Sagar Meghani, Washington.
The first in-court appearance for the 22-year-old accused killer of conservative activist Charlie Kirk was thrown into turmoil by a cameraman's bad angle. Joan Jones has that story.
22-year-old Tyler Robinson appeared in court in Utah wearing street clothes, something his lawyers successfully argued for. Before the hearing even got started, though, his lawyers claimed Robinson's rights were violated when his shackles and some key documents were seen on the video stream, threatening his right, they said, to a fair trial.
I find that there was a violation of the standing decorum order that was in effect as of October 30th, 2025, based off what's been proffered.
However, the Utah County Court Judge, Tony Graff, ruled against kicking cameras out.
I find that excluding the cameras from the courtroom would be disproportionate for this hearing.
He adjourned briefly, though, to allow the camera to be moved to avoid any more violations. Once that was settled, the judge immediately moved the court into a closed session and kicked the public out of the room, even ruling against Robinson's family.
I'm going to rule that they will be excluded as well. It is just given the nature and the sensitivity of it. I believe it is appropriate to treat all parties in the public equally.
What they discussed behind closed doors was how much, if any, of an earlier hearing would be made public. After 2 hours, the press and Robinson's parents were allowed to return. Issues regarding media access were discussed. The court also allowed Erica Kirk to be designated as the victim's representative. Now, the next court date was set for Tyler Robinson. It's a virtual hearing on December 29th, and then in-person hearings January 16th and February 3rd. I'm Joan Jones.
Letitia James eludes the DOJ once again. When America in the Morning continues after these messages. America in the Morning back now with less than 2 weeks to go till Christmas. The snow flurries are flying for some. Here's AccuWeather.com meteorologist LaTroy Thornton.
A large and widespread snow event continues today across much of Montana as a front remains rather stationary while Pacific moisture pivots around high pressure centered over Nevada, helping to support plenty of steady snow in the central and eastern parts of Montana. The snow actually lifts to the north and east through the day, so places toward the Idaho border end up with just snow showers at most, but could actually be dry for much of the day. However, as that snow sinks back southward later tonight, some places could have snow much of the time from this morning until Saturday morning, resulting in the potential for 6 to 12 inches of total snow for nearly all of the eastern half of Montana, and localized amounts of up to a foot or two at some of the highest peaks, with up to 3 to 6 inches for southwestern North Dakota and northwestern South Dakota. Tracking the snow farther to the south and east, a fast-moving area of snow heads toward the mid-Atlantic coast today, but much of the active weather remains inland. That means that any accumulating snow of over an inch through the day should be confined to a strip of territory from western Virginia to southeastern Indiana and neighboring parts of Ohio, as high pressure allows no more than some clouds toward places like Virginia Beach. Another area with some organized and steady snow today will be across parts of the upper Midwest and into the Great Lakes, with snow and flurries from the Arrowhead of Minnesota through the Chicago area and much of Michigan, while more intermittent snow showers continue off Lakes Erie and Ontario. Much needed drier weather arrives today for even more of the Pacific Northwest, with much of the southern half of the U.S. still dry too. In Bend, Oregon, today brings a mostly sunny day with a high of 60, near the daily record of 63 from 1924. For Bismarck, North Dakota, it's looking cloudy and frigid instead, the high just 4. That's the nation's weather. I'm AccuWeather.com meteorologist LaTroy Thornton.
Follow us wherever you get your podcasts. Search America in the Morning in your favorite listening app. A surprising turn of events and a setback for President Trump. Correspondent Haya Panjwani reports on a key redistricting vote in Indiana that the GOP-dominated state Senate rejected.
Indiana Republicans have blocked President Trump's redistricting push in a rare break with the White House.
19 ayes, 31 noes. This bill has been defeated.
In a resounding rejection of a pressure campaign from President Donald Trump, Indiana Republican senators voted down a new congressional map created to give the GOP an advantage in the upcoming 2026 election. 21 senators from the Republican supermajority in the chamber's 10 Democrats voted against the map. The map would have split the city of Indianapolis into 4 districts. Democratic State Senator Fady Kadora spoke on the Senate floor.
Any political party on earth that cannot run and win based on the merits of its ideas is unworthy of governing.
While other Republican states have moved quickly to redistrict, Indiana lawmakers like State Senator Greg Walker have been far more hesitant.
I believe the bill on its face is unconstitutional.
The GOP senators who voted against the map are likely to face primary challengers backed by Republicans on the side of President Trump. I'm Haya Panjwani.
In a Virginia court, New York Attorney General Letitia James has escaped another potential indictment being brought by the Department of Justice. Correspondent Clayton Neville reports.
It's the second time in a week and third time in a month that New York Attorney General Letitia James avoided an indictment. On Thursday, a federal judge in Alexandria, Virginia, reportedly refused to indict James. A federal judge last month dismissed mortgage-related charges that the DOJ brought against James after ruling that the prosecutor in her case and former FBI Director James Comey's case was unlawfully appointed. The Department of Justice also tried and failed last week to secure a new indictment against James in Norfolk, Virginia. The New York AG has been a political rival of President Trump's dating back to her investigation into the Trump Organization for fraud. I'm Clayton Neville.
The House of Mouse teams up with OpenAI when America in the Morning continues after these messages. Welcome back. You're with America in the Morning. The Business Report is sponsored by Gusto. Gusto's a simple online payroll and benefits tool built for small businesses. Learn more at gusto.com/radio. Here's CNBC's Peter Schack with the Friday Report.
Billions of dollars are flowing in the direction of artificial intelligence, and the latest billion comes from Walt Disney, which has announced a $1 billion investment in OpenAI, the parent of ChatGPT. As part of the deal, users of OpenAI's Sora video app can use copyrighted Disney characters in their videos. Here's CEO Bob Iger.
This is a great opportunity for the company to enable consumers to engage with our characters on what is probably the most modern of technology and media platforms today. But it also is significant because OpenAI is both respecting and valuing our creativity, both our characters, but also those that have created those characters.
Copyright violations in the AI world have been a big issue. Earlier this week, Disney sent Google a cease and desist letter about allegedly improper use of its copyrights. As for OpenAI itself, the billion-dollar investment goes a long way toward calming worries about its financial future. And according to its CEO, Sam Altman, the introduction this week of its newest AI model, GPT 5.2, will do the same.
The value that we see people getting from this technology, and thus their willingness to pay, to say nothing of the models that we have coming in the coming months and years, makes us confident that we will be able to significantly ramp revenue.
The stock market is coming off an upbeat Thursday session, which saw the Dow and S&P 500 close at record highs. That followed Wednesday's rally, which came after the Fed cut interest rates a quarter point. Steve Eisman, whose 2008 bet against the housing market was chronicled in the movie The Big Short, pointedly says it's ridiculous for investors to obsess over the Fed.
I think this whole thing is laughable. The only time the Fed really matters is when it's being very aggressive at cutting rates or very aggressive at raising rates. If it's just tinkering around the edges, which is what it's clearly doing, it's irrelevant.
Home prices were down 1.4% over the past 3 months compared to a year ago, the first time that's happened since mid-2023. That's according to real estate tracking firm Parcel Labs. Results varied according to city, of course. Austin, Texas, and Denver saw more significant drops, while prices gained in markets like New York, Cleveland, and Chicago. Some stocks to watch in the day ahead. Lululemon reported better than expected sales and profits for its latest quarter, but its current quarter outlook is weaker than anticipated. Costco also beat on the top and bottom lines in its latest quarterly report. On today's calendar, Chicago Fed President Austin Goolsbee will speak at the bank's annual Economic Outlook Symposium. He was one of 3 Fed members who voted against the Fed's quarter-point rate cut earlier this week, instead preferring no cut at all. And Disney Plus premieres a docuseries and film about one of the biggest economic events of the past few years, Taylor Swift's Eras Tour.
CNBC's Peter Schack now. When we return on America in the Morning, allegations swirling around the University of Michigan head football coach. After these messages. The Central American man whose case became a flashpoint of the immigration crackdown has been ordered released while he fights deportation. Jennifer King reports.
A federal judge has ordered Immigration and Customs Enforcement to release Kilmar Albrego Garcia from detention, asking for a status update no later than 5 p.m. Thursday. It's a victory for the Salvadoran national, whose deportation to a notorious prison in El Salvador became national news. U.S. District Judge Paula Zinnes writes that since Albrego Garcia's return from wrongful detention in El Salvador, he's been re-detained, again without lawful authority. The order is drawing criticism from the Department of Homeland Security. Assistant Secretary Tricia McLaughlin called the release order naked judicial activism by an Obama-appointed judge and says they will fight it tooth and nail in the courts. Albrego Garcia was brought back to the U.S. after a court order, and since then, the judge says, federal authorities have been actively trying to stonewall and mislead the court. Albrego Garcia is petitioning to reopen his immigration case. In addition, he's filed a motion to dismiss criminal charges in Tennessee, where he pled not guilty to human smuggling. I'm Jennifer King.
The situation surrounding now jailed former University of Michigan head football coach Sharon Moore is getting murkier. Correspondent Gethin Coolbaugh reports the married father of three is accused of assaulting a woman who authorities claim he was stalking and is expected to appear in court later today.
Former Michigan coach Sharon Moore has been jailed, according to court records. Moore was detained on Wednesday, just hours after he was fired for what the university said was a, quote, inappropriate relationship with a staff member. According to the Washtenaw County Jail, the 39-year-old Moore had been booked into the facility as of Wednesday evening. The jail's records did not provide any information about why Moore was detained or whether any court appearances were scheduled. The police statement did not mention anyone by name. The stunning announcement said Moore's alleged conduct was a clear violation of university policy. Moore, the team's former offensive coordinator, was promoted to the top job in January 2024 to replace Jim Harbaugh. The 9-3 Wolverines are set to play Texas in the Citrus Bowl in a few weeks. Under Moore, Michigan posted an 18-8 record over parts of 3 seasons. I'm Gethin Coolbaugh.
America in the Morning for Friday, December 12th, 2025 is produced by Jeff McKay. I'm John Trout. This is Westwood One. This is America in the Morning from Westwood One. I'm John Trout. Coming up this half hour.
The United States plans to use the oil from a suspected drug smuggling vessel in the Caribbean. I'm Clayton Neville.
Kristi Noem under fire from Democrats at a House hearing on the department's immigration policy. I'm John Stolnis in Washington.
What Ukraine says is holding back a peace deal, an aviation clash, and a congressional hearing. Flooding worsens in Washington state. House Republicans say no to a Trump executive order, and a multi-million-dollar Star Wars painting.
OpenAI gets a great Disney deal while Google gets a big lawsuit. I'm Chuck Palm.
Is the new James L. Brooks comedy worth your time in theaters? I'm Kevin Carr.
Back after these messages. America in the Morning continues. A weekend storm for areas of the east. With details, here's AccuWeather.com meteorologist LaTroy Thornton.
The risk for snow in the eastern half of the nation will shift through the day today from the lake effect variety that built in Wednesday evening to more organized areas of snow due to a couple of storms reaching different parts of the east. Starting around the Great Lakes, the latest Arctic cold front crashes into the region as today progresses, with flurries and some steadier snow at times from eastern Minnesota into northern Illinois, all of Wisconsin and the upper peninsula of Michigan, even reaching much of western lower Michigan during the afternoon. At least some flurries continue downwind of Lake Erie into just about all of western Pennsylvania, but the highest chance for some decent snow showers will be pointed instead toward western New York and especially areas downwind of Lake Ontario into northern New York. Just to the south of those places, a separate disturbance racing through the Ohio Valley toward the mid-Atlantic will carry a strip of accumulating snow from southeastern Indiana and far southern Ohio toward central Virginia through the day today, with many places picking up 1 to 3 inches of snow. However, a zone in the center of this band is likely to have a longer period of steadier snow, with 3 to 6 inches of accumulation more likely and widespread there. Heading into the northwest, a storm will continue to blast much of the northeastern 2/3 or so of Montana with snow for the majority of the day, but some of that snow trickles into the western Dakotas as well, yielding a large zone of 6 to 12 inches of total snow accumulation through Saturday morning, and some areas of 3 to 6 inches even reaching the Dakotas. Otherwise, today brings even more of a reprieve for some rain-soaked portions of Washington and Oregon, with just some leftover showers for north central and coastal Washington. Places from California through the south stay mainly dry and turn warmer for today, with the southeast also looking dry. That's the weather across America. I'm AccuWeather.com meteorologist LaTroy Thornton.
You can follow us wherever you get your podcasts. Simply search America in the Morning in your favorite listening app. The White House is addressing claims that the seizure of an oil tanker this week in the Caribbean was an act of escalation. Correspondent Clayton Neville reports the White House is planning to ramp up further oil tanker seizures and potential land-based military strikes against the Maduro regime in Venezuela.
The U.S. seized the oil tanker off the coast of Venezuela as the Trump administration continues to crack down on suspected drug smuggling boats in Latin American waters. The United States has carried out more than 20 strikes in recent months. As for the vessel seized, White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt.
The vessel is currently undergoing a forfeiture process right now. The United States currently has a full investigative team on the ground on the vessel, and individuals on board the vessel are being interviewed and any relevant evidence is being seized.
Leavitt was asked if the United States plans to use the oil seized with the tanker.
The United States does intend to seize the oil. However, there is a legal process for the seizure of that oil, and that legal process will be followed.
The move causing some concern on Capitol Hill.
Just randomly seize a ship. They're randomly blowing things up. We've not seen the intelligence. We've not seen the video. We have not seen a justification.
Democratic Senator Jackie Rosen spoke with reporters.
The president is trying to get us into a war. He needs to remember that only Congress can declare war. And what is the purpose of this war?
Now world leaders like the Russian foreign minister demanding an explanation from the United States as to why it felt it needed to seize the oil tanker.
The Department of Justice requested and was approved for a warrant to seize a vessel because it's a sanctioned shadow vessel known for carrying black market sanctioned oil to the IRGC, which you know is a sanctioned entity. So the president is committed to stopping the illegal flow of drugs into our country. He's also fully committed to effectuating this administration's sanction policy, and that's what you saw and the world saw.
I'm Clayton Neville.
Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky says territorial issues are at the heart of U.S.-led talks aimed at ending Russia's war with Kyiv. Washington correspondent Sagar Meghani reports.
Ukraine's Volodymyr Zelensky says negotiators are wrestling with territorial issues in U.S.-led talks to end Russia's war in his country.
Well, I think we had some little disputes about people, and we're going to see how it turns out. And we said before we go to a meeting, we want to know some things. You know, they would like us to go to a meeting over the weekend in Europe. And we'll make a determination depending on what they come back with.
Zelensky revealed details of the talks before heading into an urgent meeting with European allies who back his efforts to reach fair terms in any settlement.
We are ready to work with President Trump in any format.
But here in Washington,
the leaders of France, we spoke to, and Germany, and UK, all very good leaders, very good friends of mine. And we discussed Ukraine in pretty strong words. And we'll see what happens. I mean, we're waiting to hear answers before we progress. Losing a lot of people. And it's possible that the people, if you look at the polls, I will say 82%, there was a poll that came out, 82% of the people are demanding a settlement be made.
And spokeswoman Caroline Leavitt says the U.S. could send a representative to more talks this weekend if it sees a real chance of signing a peace deal.
It's still up in the air whether we believe real peace can be accomplished and we can truly move the ball forward. The president is extremely frustrated with both sides of this war, and he's sick of meetings just for the sake of meeting. He doesn't want any more talk. He wants action.
Sagar Meghani, Washington.
Secretary of Homeland Security Kristi Noem faced withering questions from Democrats in a House committee on worldwide threats, keying in on her department's immigration deportation policies. John Stolnitz explains from Washington.
You are making America less safe. I call on you to resign.
Congressman Benny Thompson, the top Democrat on the Homeland Security Committee, with blistering criticism of Noem over the Trump administration's immigration policies.
Do a real service to the country and just resign. That is, if President Trump doesn't fire you first.
He wasn't alone. Several Democrats, including Delia Rodriguez, openly accusing Noem of lying.
You lie with impunity. You reject checks and balances, and you ignore Congress and the courts. Your options are limited. Either you're going to resign, Trump's going to fire you, or you will be impeached.
Another Democrat, Seth Magaziner, pressed Noem on the deportation of non-criminals who either served in the U.S. military or produced children that are military veterans.
He is a combat veteran, a Purple Heart recipient. He has sacrificed more for this country than most people ever have. Earlier this year, you deported him to Korea, a country he hasn't lived in since he was 7 years old. Will you join me in thanking Mr. Park for his service to our country?
Sir, I'm grateful for every single person that has served our country and follows our laws.
Can you please tell Mr. Park why you deported him?
Every one of them needs to be enforced.
The hearing was supposed to be about worldwide threats. Noem was asked by the Republican chair of the committee, Andrew Garbarino, what her biggest concerns are.
What keeps me up at night is that we don't necessarily know all of the people that are in this country, who they are and what their intentions are.
Republicans on the committee had her back, Congressman Andy Ogles championing the Trump policy on deportations.
I've said it once, and I'll say it again. Deport them all. This is our country. We get to decide who comes in, and we get to decide who has to leave.
She left the meeting after only 2 hours. She said to attend a FEMA meeting, a meeting Representative Thompson said had already been canceled. John Stolnis, Washington.
Defense bill stalled in Washington, and Disney embraces AI. When America in the Morning continues after these messages. The National Guard is being deployed to parts of Washington state as historic flooding from several days of rain has seen more than a dozen rivers move above flood stage, washing out roads and highways and forcing the evacuation of 100,000 people. Several counties in Washington have recorded over a foot of rain since Sunday. Washington Governor Bob Ferguson declared a state of emergency, and FEMA says it has dispatched a response team to the Pacific Northwest. Washington State's congressional delegation has urged President Trump to approve an expedited emergency declaration for more assistance. The state's Department of Transportation says more than 30 highways have been closed due to flooding, including a number of roads in the Seattle area, and some closures could last several more days. Shifting gears, questions about aviation safety are bogging down a massive defense bill that's before Congress. Correspondent Jennifer King reports.
The 3,000-page National Defense Authorization Bill was passed Wednesday by the House, but senators are pushing for changes. Federal crash investigators and victims' families warned that provisions in the legislation would make flying less safe. The bill currently allows military helicopters to fly without broadcasting their locations, which would undo reforms put in place after January's deadly collision between a passenger plane and a military helicopter over Washington, D.C.
We cannot lobby as a federal agency, but I can certainly state our opposition.
National Transportation Safety Board Chairwoman Jennifer Homendy took the unusual step Wednesday of calling a news conference to denounce that part of the bill.
It represents an unacceptable risk to the flying public, to commercial and military aircraft, crews, and to the residents in the region. It's also an unthinkable dismissal of our investigation and of 67 families who lost loved ones in a tragedy that was entirely preventable.
Senator Jerry Moran of Kansas is among those voicing support for an amendment or additional legislation that would close the safety loophole.
To make sure that NDAA language is at least, as a minimum, abiding by the safety standards that were set in place after the crash of January the 29th.
The defense bill is a priority for President Trump and is expected to pass through the Senate by the end of the year. Jennifer King, Washington.
20 House Republicans joined Democrats to pass a bill reversing President Trump's executive order blocking most federal unions on Thursday. The bill, led by Congressman Jared Golden of Maine, was sent to the House floor following a discharge petition over the wishes of House leadership. The bill, called the Protect America's Workforce Act, passed 231 to 195. The president's executive order blocked collective bargaining with unions at an array of federal agencies. However, to be successful, the House measure would still have to be taken up successfully in the Senate and get signed into law by the president. Disney has always guarded its intellectual property like a lion king, but yesterday it offered up the AI generative video rights to ChatGPT, while simultaneously slapping Google with a massive copyright infringement lawsuit. Chuck Palm has that in today's Tech Report.
Disney just inked a blockbuster 3-year deal with OpenAI, dropping a cool $1 billion equity stake to let their slick AI video wizard, Sora, generate Disney intellectual property images, but not their voice or live human actors. But I would be remiss if I didn't mention that Google just got slapped with a copyright haymaker for doing the same thing with their video AI generator. Disney's 3-year deal with OpenAI allows them to use everything from Mickey Mouse to Darth Vader and Ariel to Deadpool. Disney blasted Alphabet's AI empire for a massive scale infringement, claiming it slurped up a large corpus of their crown jewels to train their models and then spit out bootleg Lion King memes and Star Wars deepfakes. Regarding the ChatGPT deal, Disney CEO Bob Iger called it a thoughtful leap for storytelling, while OpenAI Sam Altman says, responsible innovation that amps creativity without pillaging the vault. Follow thenewOldTechGuy.com for more. I'm Chuck Palm.
Friday Sports is in. Here's America in the Morning's Robert Workman.
NFL Week 15 began last night. The Falcons came back from down 14 in the fourth quarter to trip the Buccaneers 29-28. Kirk Cousins threw 3 touchdown passes, all of them to Kyle Pitts. But after some 2-point shenanigans, it came down to Zane Gonzalez kicking a 43-yard field goal as time expired. Tampa Bay falls behind Carolina at the top of the NFC South. College football's regular season wraps up tomorrow with the Army-Navy game, and the bowl season starts tomorrow night with the LA Bowl between Boise State and Washington. We'll also get the Heisman Trophy presentation in New York City. NBA Nikola Jokic had 36 points to lead the Nuggets to a 136-105 romp over the Kings for their 4th straight win. Rockets nipped the Clippers 115-113. Neither team had a double-digit lead all night. The Bucks surged past the Celtics 116-101, and the Pelicans smothered the Blazers 143-120. NHL, the first-place Avalanche buried the defending Stanley Cup champion Panthers 6-2. 6 different goal scorers for Colorado, including Nathan MacKinnon with his league-leading 25th. Wild whipped the Stars 5-2. That ends Dallas's 11-game point streak. Hurricanes edged the Capitals 3-2 in a shootout. Carolina and Washington now tied for the lead in the East. Sharks shaded the Maple Leafs 3-2 in overtime. Golden Knights winged the Flyers 3-2 in OT on Mark Stone's second goal of the night. A 4-goal night for Steven Stamkos as the Predators pummeled the Blues 7-2. Stamkos now just 10 goals away from 600 for his career. Oilers zinged the Red Wings 4-1. Zach Hyman with a hatter. The Senators swatted the Blue Jackets 6-3. Columbus has dropped 4 in a row. Bruins blasted the Jets 6-3 for their 4th straight win. David Pastrnak with 2 goals and 2 assists. He's now 5th on Boston's all-time goals list.
Very honored and humble, trying my best and keep working harder. There's only one thing missing for me, and that's what I'm going to be chasing.
2-2 for Anders Lee as the Islanders down the Ducks 5-2. Wins for the Lightning, Canadians, and Sabres. That's Friday Sports.
When we return on America in the Morning, an original Star Wars painting up for sale after these messages. Welcome back. You're with America in the Morning. Only 3 weekends left before the end of 2025, and there's a new comedy in theaters specifically for grown-ups. Kevin Carr has a sneak peek at Ella McKay.
Oscar-winning writer-director James L. Brooks returns behind the camera with a new film about family drama.
I'm resigning immediately. You're governor. Congratulations. You really couldn't have gotten this any other way.
Well, Ella McKay tells the story of an ambitious but anxious lieutenant governor who ascends to the head of the state when the current governor accepts a cabinet post right in the middle of a campaign.
Your father, your brother, and your husband are a ticking time bomb in your life.
This movie is meant to be empowering for women, and there are certainly some of those elements thrown in.
Helen, I have a ridiculously serious problem, and you're the only one I can tell.
But it's all mixed up with an emotionally brittle title character perpetually on the verge of a total breakdown.
Are you thinking about your mom?
Yeah, me too.
James L. Brooks does a decent job keeping the story light and breezy, even against all the turmoil.
I'll never forgive you. I love you. Call me for anything.
And there are some pretty strong performances from an impressive cast. So the film is watchable and has some truly great moments.
Scream!
All right. No. No, I might not be able to stop.
It's too bad I was going to join you.
Unfortunately, the script is kind of a mess from a narrative standpoint.
Hi. I'm the narrator.
It juggles too many arcs for a revolving door of supporting characters feeling crowded yet empty.
Susan, would you be my girlfriend? A lot of time has passed, and we've been with other people, or not.
Ella McKay gets 2 high heels out of 5. I'm Kevin Carr, and that's the way I see it.
When Star Wars hit theaters 48 years ago, it became a worldwide phenomenon that led to a series of 9 movies, books, comics, video games, and more. Correspondent Karen Shamas reports on the historic sale of an original painting which introduced Star Wars to the world.
The painting that introduced the movie Star Wars nearly 50 years ago has sold at auction for $3.875 million. Charles Epting from auction house Heritage told the AP the sale was significant for 2 reasons.
Which is not only by far the highest price ever paid for movie poster artwork, but it's the highest price ever paid for any piece of Star Wars memorabilia.
The acrylic and airbrush painting by the artist and movie poster designer Tom Young first appeared in newspaper advertisements on May the 13th, 1977. That was a little less than 2 weeks before the film opened. Epting explains the significance of the poster.
This is the piece of art that was used in magazine and newspaper advertisements before the film came out. The film was released towards the end of May 1977. This piece of art started appearing in newspapers in the middle of May. So for most of America, this was the first time they got a glimpse of the galaxy far, far away. This would have been the first time that they ever saw Darth Vader, Luke Skywalker.
Star Wars producer Gary Kurtz kept the original painting before passing it down to his daughter, who put it up for auction. I'm Karen Shamas.
That's our show for today, Friday, December 12th, 2025. America in the Morning is produced by Jeff McKay. I'm John Trout. This is Westwood One.